Part 26. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 252. 25 Thief is it? Yekong was depressed, sighed, and turned around. As Yekong turned his back, he saw that the tentacles of the soil were outstretched like lightning, the tip of the tentacle was like the elephant's nose, and a spirit stone was sucked in, and then another one. A few spirit stones entered its body, and it returned to a slump state. Although this thing is savvy, it is still stupid. Even if Yekong doesn't see the scene, when he turns back, don't he understand? I rely on. It really is you, thief. You despicable thief. Yekong fire, slammed a punch, flattened the thing, and then kicked it, and stepped it into a pancake. But when Yekong's feet were lifted up, it returned to a slump state, and then, like a large green worm, it wriggled and tried to escape. Want to escape? No way. Laozi cut his belly to get the spirit stone. Yekong grabbed its tail and threw it in front of the ground. Yekong is really big, and Laozi worked hard for the spirit stone that he had only acquired for half a year, and this guy ate it all quietly, so annoying. No matter what it is, you must kill it today. Do you dare to take advantage of my empty air? Blind your dog eyes. Yekong took out the small sword weapon and wanted to cut this thing, but to his surprise, this guy was very tough. You can easily flatten it, but it is difficult to split it in half. Yekong didn't believe it, and put on the Ursuo sword again. Then he and the sword were standing on both sides of the room, and he pulled the thing away. This guy is like a cowhide tendon. It pulls very long, but it keeps pulling. Pop, Yekong let go, and the thing returned to a slump state. Thought I really couldn't deal with you. Yekong really shouted at this stuff and shouted, Deu, come out. Oh, Deu made a cute little water dragon over 1 meter long and came out. You have a lot of strength, tear it in half for me. Yekong sat annoyed aside. They're girls, not coolies, Deu muttered, two claws grabbing at the transparent yellowish stuff and yanked. To say that Deu's strength is really strong, pull that thing longer, the thinnest part in the middle is only as thin as a piece of paper, but if you want to tear it, Deu has no such strength. Pop, Deu was so tired that she let go of her arm, and she let go of the thing again, and fell on the floor. How did Yekong think that this thing was proud? Proud, right? No matter how bad you are, you don't know if you're afraid of Kangbei's cold fire? I burn you, a thief who is neither human nor ghost. Yekong said. The stuff was so scared that he began to squirm and try to escape. Seeing it scared, Yekong was overjoyed, stepped on it with one foot, and went to get water and fire gourd. Son, don't. Deu suddenly stopped and said, this thing is not ordinary, don't destroy it easily. Oh, you know it? Deu shook his head. I have never seen this thing, but I know that whether it is a stone or a tree, it has grown for too long and absorbed enough aura, it will become fine. I think this must be a piece of sibling essence. Well, it's possible that this place has eaten so many my spiritual stones, and now it has become a demon with simple consciousness. Yekong felt that Deu's analysis made sense, and he asked, if I wanted to listen to me, what should we do? You can confess your blood. Yekong dripped a drop of blood on the soil, and immediately he could communicate with it with spiritual knowledge. Although this is a low-level life, it can't make a sound, but Yekong can still feel some simple emotions. Well, change your appearance, don't look like a poop, just change. Yekong thought about it, just change the toilet. Deu's symbol fell to the floor. Boy, you are so boring. Yekong laughed. What is this, Xianxia, a wave of a woman? Rogue Deu could not hide into the spirit beast's circle. Hey, it's a hooligan, not me a hooligan. Yekong haha smiled, rubbing the soft round wave in his palm, wondering, what use is this thing? Such strong toughness, refined into an armor, is definitely a top-level armor. However, Yekong doesn't know how to refinish the equipment. If he gives such an expensive thing to others, he will cause himself a lot of trouble, so Yekong only thinks of throwing the thing back into the storage bag. Be careful this time. Yekong took out an empty storage bag, threw the piece of sibling essence into it, and tightened the bag's mouth. Then he was relieved. Early the next morning, before the sky was completely bright, Yekong followed Zhang Wulin to the Four Seas Hall. On the earth, Yekong loves to sleep late, but since Xianxia, his hobby has to be cancelled, because he doesn't sleep with Ben now, just meditate. The two walked into the hall of the Four Seas Hall, and saw that there were already a lot of newly appointed disciples in the hall. These guys were all repaired in the middle and the next period of the construction of the base. And Yekong's repair is the highest. Seeing those younger students and younger sisters, Yekong couldn't help but be sorrowful. Unconsciously, he was no longer a cultivating fairy, and there were a lot of them lower than himself. Well, it will be fine to bully a younger brother and sister in the future. Yekong noticed that on the steps, standing with Li Yao, it was the cultivation of the base period. Those guys seemed to be seniors. And those seniors, at this moment, are looking at the newcomers with a look of selecting goods. Those new people are also eager to try. After all, they have just started, and they are finally regarded as big disciples. They are worshipped by Elixir, and they are envied by others. Who is not excited? Similarly, there are many disciples greeting each other, pulling relationships, multiple friends and multiple paths, bowing their heads and seeing their heads, seeing them later, they can be used. Yekong and Zhang Wulin are the ones you most want to know. After all, they are relatively tall. What is the name of this brother? And it is called Lanchenming, enthusiastic reader. Lanchenming guest performance, and I will take care of it in the future. Oh, okay, my name is Li Heze, and the photos are related, haha. Yekong also nodded politely to them, but there were too many people and he didn't remember much at the end. While talking, the door behind the hall opened and Yekong looked up. He felt that Zhang Wei and Li Yao were very scared of the guys behind him. Later, Li Yao also specifically warned them, so Yekong wanted to see what Cao Muking was. But to the surprise of Yekong, when the door opened, there was a big beauty, a tall head, a picture-like eyebrows, and a high comb, very noble and elegant. Eyes sharp and proud. Even though Li Ruo is pretty, it is far worse than the beauty of this iceberg. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 253. 252 Mixed Service. Seeing this woman coming out, Li Ruo and Monk Zuji on the steps closed their mouths and stood with their eyebrows down, very careful. It seems that this iceberg woman is Cao Muking, and I don't know how terrible this woman is. Noisy. What do they look like? When is this mortal's vegetable market? Cao Muking sighed coldly, but the voice was not loud, but everyone felt a shock in his heart, as if being held down by a heavy object. This gives everyone a power, and Yekong Gli knows that he will not resist. Cao Muking's pressure is much worse than that of Shi Dingfeng. Even so, the pressure of an old ancestor still made many new disciples unbearable. Several disciples were already shaking their legs and stomachs, and their foreheads were sweating profusely. Cao Mu moved forward step by step, and the pressure was getting heavier. Later, Yekong couldn't stand it anymore. If Yekong had not been injured and could still resist, but he hadn't healed from the front injury, he would be a bit overwhelmed. When Cao Muking stood at the center of the steps, they were all stunned and closed, and the new disciples who were struggling to resist suddenly caved in and collapsed. Yekong and Zhang Wulin looked at each other, and they both felt that this woman was a bit excessive. Even if you want to give everyone a kick, it is not necessary to be so hard. Those few who fell to the ground may not be able to recover in half a month. And Cao Muking didn't even look at the disciples, and waved, send those out of the ancestors, give a bottle of Yangdan, and revoke the status of a disciple. She said this, and suddenly the new disciples stared at each other, and she said that the woman was fierce enough. People worked hard to worship the teacher, and only on the first day you were inexplicably injured. Finally, they were driven out of the sect, which was a big loss. Several minor repairs that fell to the ground were unable to resist and were dragged out. Cao Muking also said, "Introduce yourself. I am Cao Muking, the chief administrator of Sci-fi Tang of Yunfuzong. I am in the early days of Dandan. I will arrange all your future work and cultivation. First of all, congratulations on your passing my assessment. Now, you are the real disciples. I know that many of you used to go to the meditation group and used to be free and unrestrained, so I hope you do nt bring the bad habits of the meditation group to Yunfuzong." Cao Muking said above that Yekong was a little impatient and always felt harsh. "Sun Immortals, there is a bad atmosphere for casual repairs, and your great faction has a high spirit? It's not a lie." After Cao Muking finished speaking, the disciples were relieved, and everyone had awe in this dead-faced beauty. After she finished speaking, the various supervisors arranged for escorts. Some disciples were taken to the dining room. There were still a lot of people in the village to eat. Even if they didn't eat, they had to drink water. Liquor supplements spiritual power. Some are taken to the alchemy room or the alchemy room. Although Yunfuzong is not a strong point in the alchemy system, ordinary elixir and new techniques can still be obtained. Zhang Wulin was assigned to the rune square because he had the technique of making paper. In the end, Yekong was sent to manage the medicine garden, and it was not the public medicine garden of Yunfuzong, it was Cao Muking's private medicine garden. After the others have dispersed, Zhang Wulin left. "Brazilian brother, you are lucky enough to run the medicine garden for the beauty master, maybe, hee hee." Hee hee. Li Ruo sneered and walked over and said, "Li Hizi, you are miserable. According to past experience, Uncle Mu Qing is in charge of the medicine garden, either the lack of arms or the broken leg. The shortest one took 3 hours. He was kicked out of Yunfuzong." Yekong was depressed, "Isn't it? This woman is psychologically BT? Shouldn't she be the old virgin girl?" Li Ruo was startled by what he said, and he looked back quickly before whispering, "You don't want to die." Yekong was originally a temper who was not afraid of the sky, and laughed, "Then I'll change the question, does she have any associates yet?" Li Ruo laughed, "No. I'll say it." Yekong thought he was right, and said, "As soon as this woman reaches the age and lacks the man's nourishment, she will start to have mental disorders. As time goes by, she will naturally BT." Zhang Wulin laughed, yeah, it's not exactly how you moisturize. If you don't talk about her expression and complexion, it's a big beauty. Do you think I'm willing to go? She's beautiful or not for my bird affairs." Yekong cursed and asked again, "Sister, why did you choose me to give her a medicine garden? So many people, so unlucky. Why did the messenger fall on my head? Whoever provokes me." Li Ruo covered his mouth and laughed, "Who makes you so dark? Uncle Mu Qing always chooses the ugliest disciple to keep her in the medicine garden. Yekong is really going to vomit blood this time. Why am I ugly? I just have a darker face. No, it's not black, I'm bronze, healthy, do you understand? Besides, even if it's black, me too, a dark horse prince." Unexpectedly, Li Ruohao laughed and said, "What is the prince? Even the Emperor Wu Guo, he just married our Yunfuzong Duanxia girl. Not to mention, compared to monks in this continent, compared to monks, the prince is not even a bird, and the emperor can marry a nun, which is his great fortune." Yekong only changed his voice, "Then I am the dark horse ancestor." Zhang Wulin laughed, "I think it is the ancestor of the black egg, ha 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 ha." The three were chatting happily, but a cold voice sounded out of place, "Li Hizi, why not go to the medicine garden?" Cao Muking suddenly appeared, scaring Li Ruo and Zhang Wulin, and quickly shut up. Yekong looked upright and returned with a fist. As much as possible to obtain some information and experience, so as to learn from the predecessors, to avoid going through some unnecessary ups and downs. An old ancestor named Einstein once said that he is not good at summing up experience, failure will stay with him for life. After hearing this from Yekong, Li Yao and Zhang Wulin looked at each other. I have to admire this guy's anxiety, as well as the effort to change his face. He just laughed so embarrassingly now, but now he said so brightly and honestly. There is also a good saying, I'm not good at summing up experience, failure will accompany him for life. How good it is, just how sacred is this Einstein ancestor? Cao Muking was obviously a little surprised at Yekong's answer, and he couldn't help but look at Yekong. But he still said frostily, I hope you can do it. Then Cao Muking said, let's go to the medicine garden with me. Mr. Xia Yekong was serious, and his black face looked a little bit peculiar. Out of the Four Seas Hall, Cao Muking took out her flying instrument, which surprised Yekong that her flying instrument was a rectangular spell. White rune paper with strange symbols painted on it. This is a magic charm that has been magnified many times. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 254. 253 Small Medicine Garden. Looking at Yekong curiously, Cao Muking couldn't help but cast a scornful expression, raised the lotus feet gently, and stood up, snorting, come up. Oh, Yekong walked up, only to find that stepping on it was still soft, like some precious fur. He understood a bit, this is not a real magic weapon, but a flying weapon similar to his own flying carpet, except that the surface is made into a magic weapon. Hey, this old place's hobby is similar to Lao Tzu, and I don't know what experience it is on this amulet-like flying carpet. Yekong thought shamelessly. He stood behind Cao Muking, looking at the woman in front, struck a thin purple dress, showing her noble and beautiful appearance, tender and plump, and undulating under the purple dress. The moving figure, especially under the small waist of Yingying's grip, the sharp curve of the jade stock and long legs that are sharply enlarged are even more impressive. If there is a friendly match with such a woman on her jade amulet flying carpet, it will be a great turn. If Cao Muking knew that the boy was behind YY herself, she estimated that he would immediately kill this guy into slag. But at this moment, she has a mind. Cao Muking bowed his head and meditated in front, but Yekong showed insignificance behind him. This scene was very surprised when many of Yun Fuzong's disciples saw it. Because this Muking she has never taken any men to fly yet. Everyone is guessing, is it true that the ancestor of Mo Qing has changed his temper? After a while, I came to a valley behind Yun Fuzong. The flying carpet was lowered, and a small medicine garden appeared in front of the eyes. Under the aura of abundant aura, various green grasses were dripping, which made people love. Reaching the location, Cao Muking lowered the flying yafu and said, I think you probably heard a lot about the X offer, but don't worry about it. If you take good care of me, I will not only not will punish you and reward you. Thank you, then, Master Shi Yehalo said. It seems that the legend of outsiders cannot fully believe it. This Cao Muking is still very true. You cannot blame the drug garden, of course, you cannot blame her for punishment. But soon, Yekong discovered the woman's BTI only listened to Cao Muking and said, here is the elixir, where is each plant, what kind of grass is it, and how is it growing? I have detailed records. I come over every month to check. If I die a low-level U grass, you will be punished by the full moon spiritual stone offerings, and so on. If you die a middle-level spiritual grass, you will be punished by the whole year spiritual stone offerings, and the last time I broke my arm and drove out of Yun Fuzong, raised 2 spirit grasses. Isn't it? This low-level spiritual grass is very ordinary. You can buy a bundle of spirit stone outside the green leaf grass. Would you like me to pay a month for ablation? Oh my god, there is soap grass over there. It can be bought by ordinary people's household copper plates. If you die, you have to lose money. Cao Muking looked at Yekong's expression and hummed coldly, this is my rule. If you want to stay in Yunfuzong, you must follow my rules. If you don't want to do it, just roll out Yunfuzong. Yekong felt a little bit, feeling that this woman deliberately made things difficult for herself. But think about it, she didn't recruit her and didn't mess with her, and she didn't need to target herself, right? Seeing Yekong not talking, Cao Muking said, I know you are from Zhonghui. If you can't go on, you can go to that girl to help you. Yekong understands a bit. This woman has conflicts with Zhonghui, or if she wants to force Zhonghui to agree to her request, no wonder little Pepper went to Sihatang and ran away. Thinking of this, Yekong's mouth had a smile, and said lightly, Master Shi, Li Hizi, I never asked a woman for help. Cao Muking didn't expect the boy to say so hard, and asked, would you like to come by my rules? Yes, Yekong replied without hesitation, and then asked, Master, you just said that if it is dead. But what if it grows up? Is it the same reward? For example, if you add a low-level spiritual grass, you will add a month of worship, and if you add another, you will add a year, ancestor. Huh, you go to Fangxi and buy a bunch of low-level spirit grass to insert here, then I'm broke. Unexpectedly, this black-faced boy is not only treacherous, but also has sharp teeth. In Yunfuzong, I will follow my rules. I don't want you to increase the spirit grass. The only reward is that if you do well, I will recommend you as a disciple. Smelly man. Cao Muking touched a soft nail, and was a little upset, turning his head out of the prohibition outside the medicine garden and leaving. Huh, old virgin girl, psychological BT, somehow. It's best not to mess with me, or you will look good, Yekong muttered and started to look at this medicine garden. The low-level spirit grass in the medicine garden accounts for 60%, the middle-level spirit grass 40%, and the high-level spirit grass, well, no. On this order, what are you dragging? I thought you had a lot of cows. This kind of spirit grass is far worse than Qingminggu. Yekong took out the book identifying the grass from the storage bag identification. As a cultivator, identifying the grass is also a necessary skill. The spiritual sketchbook held by Yekong is too enlightening. The lower-level spiritual grass can still be found, but there are several books in the middle-level spiritual grass that are not recorded. For example, there is an old yellow-colored vine in front of it, and a flowering tree with large leaves but small flowers. No matter, anyway, as long as they don't die. Yekong is extremely confident in this task. Don't forget, he has a treasure that others don't have. In fact, Yekong was very satisfied with this mixed service. Cao Muking came only once a month. In these days, he is free. Another advantage is that Yekong has a lot of secrets, and it is not convenient to live in the dormitory of the Weitang disciples. There is a separate residence in this medicine garden. He can live in this medicine garden. After reading Linko, Yekong came to the residence in the medicine garden. This residence is quite large, and it is more convenient than the disciples' dormitory. When he came to the beast room, Yekong dug a hole in the wall and took out the queen of the golden-winged ant and put it in. According to Yekong's experience in growing insects from Beizai village, the golden-winged ants are called ancient worms. They are very fierce and have nothing they don't eat. It is now extinct, and no one has experience in raising this stuff, so the book is not detailed. But the book says a little bit. If this gold-winged ant wants to make his body hard, then he must let him eat hard food, the harder the better. In the 5 elements array, those annoying golden-winged ants just eat those black stones and become so powerful. But Yekong didn't have so many black stones for them to eat. Although he got some stone powder, the amount was limited, and he couldn't just waste it. To the reader. Dear friends, Xiaoman has seen your enthusiasm, thank you for giving Xiaoman warm Taoists, thank you. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 255. 254 Find ways to make money. Take care of this thing first. When you go out next time, get some iron to grind them. Yekong settled the golden-winged ants, and came to sit cross-legged in the main house. At this moment, he has a lot to do. First of all, his consciousness is not completely good. If there is any danger, it will make him suffer a great deal, and he must quickly recuperate. Secondly, now that it has settled down, we need to consider making Dao a higher-level spirit beast. Dao's early transformation will greatly help him. Depressingly, Yekong has never refined Dan, which made him to make high-grade elixir, which was too difficult. What's even more depressing is that he doesn't have a spiritual stone in the Poor Land now, and those alchemy medicines are not cheap. The third problem is that it is necessary to quickly repair a few damaged instruments. The damage of the inner armor and the golden shield broadsword is not serious. In order to hide his identity, many of the magical instruments could not be obtained, so the Jin Dun broadsword had to be repaired quickly. This thing was played once in the woods and no one saw it. The last question. Hey, ancestor, have you woke up? Buddy has found a good body for you. Wake up and take a look. Huang Quan's ancestor still did not respond. Yekong released the big jade, and then he swallowed a few Yanjia Yuandan to practice. Dao also didn't like to stay in the spirit beast all day and was very happy to come out. In that case, Yekong gave her the job of watering and weeding. After more than 10 days in the blink of an eye, Yekong has been meditating, because the medicine given by Lianrulan is very pure, and the aura inside Yunfuzong is also abundant, so Yekong's injury is very fast. And not only was his injury better, he also successfully broke through the 6th layer of gas refining and entered the 7th layer of gas refining during this meditation. Gongzi, congratulations on taking you to the next level and entering the late stage of gas refining, Daofei said to Yekong. Yeah, it's finally in the late stage of gas refining, and it's not far from the building base. Well, Dao, am I more handsome? Yekong went to the next level, and his mood was also good. No, I think your face is getting darker. Yekong was depressed. It's really a dragon with no fun, Dao. In fact, there are many times when there is no need to tell the truth. My son, Dao doesn't lie. This guy is sometimes obedient, sometimes hesitant. Yekong angered. Then I ask you, my son is handsome when he wears pants, or is he handsome without pants? My son. Dao was ashamed, like a little girl, and hid in the spirit beast circle. Yekong laughed, which one is more handsome if you don't lie? Ha. Dao didn't answer, and shouted, my son, Cao Muking has come, you should go out. Cao Muking came only once a month, but after 10 days, she became worried. The black-faced guy said everything in his mouth, but is he really capable? Let's go check it out. It's really dead spirit grass, even if the black egg is killed, it's useless. The prohibition outside the medicine garden is free for Cao Muking. When she walked into the medicine garden, she felt relieved. I saw all kinds of spirit grass grow well, there is no weed among the spirit grass, it seems that the boy is quite diligent. I've seen the ancestor. Yekong walked out of the residence and gave a gift to Cao Muking. Exempt Cao Muking turned his head, but his gaze was fixed. He hadn't seen him for only a few days, and the boy went into a lair. I heard that you haven't gone out since you entered the medicine garden. I didn't expect you to be an ascetic. When you go to cultivate an immortal, you have to be mentally firm. Cao Muking then encouraged a few words. Yekong quickly laughed, in fact, I can't be regarded as a man of hardship. The ancestors rest assured that I am a practitioner and a mixed laborer. I improve myself with one hand, and grasp the medicine garden with one hand. Where can Cao Muking hear the shameless thoughts in this kid's words? She only thinks that this kid speaks in a set, which seems quite reasonable. So she nodded. You can do it? I hope you continue to work hard and do it. The ancestor is assured, Lihiza must work hard and skillfully, and I will never give up until you are satisfied. Yekong looked upright and could not see any shameless ingredients in it. Cao Muking nodded, that's all right. Well, I'm here to get some soap grass and go back to the bath. Oh, I'll get it now. Yekong picked up the small medicinal tincture and dug the soap grass, thinking in my heart that I had touched the soap grass with my hand, and when she turned back, she wiped the soap grass on her body. Then didn't my hand touch her indirectly? Her tall pear is a real breast. The kid was thinking about these messy things, but he couldn't stand up. After a little grinding for a while, when it stopped, he got up and packed the soap grass in a small bamboo woven pot, and then handed it to Cao Muking. Cao Muking nodded with satisfaction, slightly twitched his head, and turned to leave. Sent to the ancestor. Yekong's humility in his mouth, but there was no sense of respect in his eyes. So tender as, every step you go out, you can see the pink in purple clothes? I can't think about it, I want to make mistakes. Yekong looked back and said to himself, do business, Grace, business. Yekong is going to go out once today, one is to repair the damaged instrument, and the other is to see the apprentice Xianxia who has just received, and he should give him the exercises. But if you want to go out, you have to prepare some spiritual stones first, otherwise what to repair the magic weapon? If the charms are to be sold, this is not very good. In Yunfuzong, there are many charms, the charms are worthless, and the money is too slow. And there are no trusted people here to sell him. Another way to get money is to sell a lot of barbarian garbage artifacts in the storage bag. Those who sell inferior bones and swords can each sell dozens of spirit stones. Such an artifact, Yekonju hundreds. However, this is not very good. Such a large amount will not be able to be released in a short time, and the appearance of a lot of barbaric instruments will attract others' attention. Yekong thought about deciding whether to sell spirit grass or not. Since there is such an advantage, why not use it? Soon he saw a medium-level spirit grass, Yunzizi, in a medicine garden. This is a very common and commonly used medium-level spirit grass. However, because it is used too widely, it has been rarely used for a long time, and it is generally taken for 50 years. If it is 500 years, it is very rare. Yekong took out the soil. In order to prevent the stuff from growing too crazy and not daring to get too much, he cut his palm with a knife so large that he placed the soil on the stone table in the middle of the small medicine booth. Then, he took the medicinal tincture, dug up the soil, and took out a root system under a cloud of mist. The root system of Yunzizi is so complicated that taking one has no effect at all, but it can grow a complete Yunwuzai into the soil. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 256. 255 Surabaya City. When a fine root system of Yunzizi was put into the soil, then it was seen to grow, germinate, and open leaves at a speed that is visible to the naked eye. In just one column of incense, a Yunzizi which was fatter than the original was cultivated. As time passed, the color of this Yunzizi began to turn red, and the leaf patterns on the zizi began to become coarse. Old, gradually showing the appearance of old. At the same time, in the vicinity of Yunwuzai, 3 Xiaozai started to produce 2 green small buds. This soil is indeed an extraordinary thing for his mother. The book says that only the millennium Yunwuzai can start to show red, and every 1,000 years, an extra red annual ring will appear on the edge of the noodle surface. Yunwuo. How long ago, it has reached the effect of 1,000 years, rich and rich. I am afraid that even 10,000 years of Yunwuzai is just a time. I am afraid that 1,000 years of Yunwuzai cannot buy 10,000 spirit stones. Yekong didn't dare to be too public, and put away the 10,000-year-old Yunwu's Hizi. This thing is left to Dao's high-end spirit beast Den. Yekong dug out another 3 millennia red Yunzi mushrooms and packed them in a wooden box. Then he gathered up the soil, fastened the mouth of the bag, left the medicine garden, and flew down Yunfuzong. This martial arts cultivating immortals is really strong. Flying down the mountain, all levels of cultivators can be seen, and the cultivators and mortals walk together without interference and enjoy each other. Even the shops of immortals are opened in mortal cities, adjacent to mortal shops, each selling its own stuff and entering its own door, without affecting each other. But despite this, the shops of the immortals are still relatively concentrated. In order to prevent trouble, in the area where the cultivator of the ferry is concentrated, there is a fixed Yunfuzongji real person guarding the duty here. Yekong didn't want others to know who he was, and flew out of the city to no one, put on a Tsingyi gown, and then followed the noisy crowd into Surabaya city. Is this senior first time in Surabaya? I need a guide when I am here. I am born and raised here in Surabaya. All the shops here are not as good as I am. Poor reputation, Huema can save you time and effort. As soon as he walked into the city, an immortal who was not too young greeted him and pushed himself hard. Yekong looked at him, and saw that the old man was full of beards, and most of them had fallen to the ground, but only the third-level cultivation of guess. Yekong thinks it is good to hire a guide, but the key is that there is no spirit stone in his storage bag. So I had to laugh and said, Hua Daiu, you are almost the same as you, but also a casual practitioner. Not only is the shyness in the bag, but also the thief just stolen, so I'm really sorry. Hua Shiba was a little surprised. Someone who stole the senior's spirit stone in a storage bag. Exactly, this is a long story, so it won't be said. The old man did not ask more, and then said, that's a pity, it just happens to be old and it's okay, just walk with you. If you have a spiritual stone in the future, do NT forget to send it to the old one. That would be nice and I won't forget it. Thank you very much, Mr. Hua. A guide was indeed very convenient. Soon, Hua Shiba took Yekong to the door of a firm and said, this is the best firm for buying and selling spirits and trees in Surabaya city, both in strength and reputation. Called Surabaya City First Class. Yekong looked at the Qingming firm, and Laozi was too late to avoid them. Why did he take it to his door? Oh, Mr. Hua, I've been to this firm. If I don't have what I want, I'll change it. Hua Shiba was not too anxious. He took Yekong across 2 streets and came to a larger firm. Does this company Daiu not be unfamiliar? This is the largest Ujia company in Surabaya city with the most complete items. Although light is not as good as Qingming from the grass and trees, their strength is also extraordinary. It is a spiritual stone, and the reputation of the Yi family firm guarantees that it will never happen to you afterwards. The Yi family firm can go in and try it, but what surprised Yekong is that the old man's eyesight is quite enough, and he can see at a glance that he is here to sell items. Probably seeing Yekong's thoughts, Hua Shiba laughed. Seniors are looking for shops with spiritual grass and trees, and before they claimed they did not have a spiritual stone, so the little old man took the liberty to guess that Daiu Bachan wanted to sell spirit it's grassy. The gentleman is not guilty and cherishes his guilt. Yekong understands this truth very well. He has a good spirit, and if he is known, he will cause a lot of unnecessary trouble. Seeing Yekong's complexion flashing in his eyes, Hua Shiba hurriedly said, seniors should not be nervous. The next practice is to not pose a threat to Daiu, and he has been a guide in Surabaya city for 30 years now. If he did something wrong, the old man's head would have been cut off. Seeing Yekong's complexion calm down, the 18th National Congress of the CPC said in a sigh of relief, the seniors are not strange. The little old man guessed that he just wanted to serve you better. Each line has its own rules. I know something that I should know. I should inquire about it? It's like the name of a senior. Yekong was said this way, then he was relieved. I hope Mr. Hua can do it, and I won't lose your guidance fee when I'm done. Having said that, Yekong walked into the door of the Yi family firm, while Hua Shiba stood outside the store and waited, knowing neither what Yekong bought nor what he sold. Seniors, what do you need? This account has various magic weapons, magical treasures, banner flag charms, Yi Family Trading Company, child-friendly, quality assurance, fair price. Oh, we have a new batch of spirits worm, I don't know if the seniors are interested. The Yi family's guy was really enthusiastic. As soon as Yekong entered the door, one was intercepted. Yekong smiled. Since entering the later stage of gas refining, he seems to have called himself more seniors. Don't introduce it, it's not for selling things, it's for selling things. The guy looked for a moment, looked at Yekong, and thought the boy didn't look like someone in stock. Generally available, the realm is not low, at least to build a real person. Only by repairing high, can you kill spirit beasts, collect treasures, and sell them to shops. And this boy only practiced Kikai's cultivation on the 7th floor, unlike someone with treasure. However, he was a man after all, and did not dare to say anything. He called the shopkeeper quickly. This is a middle-aged man wearing a money-patterned gown and a square hat. This guy dresses mundane, and behaves like a mundane man. He looks at Yekong up and down, and then reminds him very politely that the items sold by Taoist and Yi family companies have a special purchase channel, the general treasures of heaven and earth, or do NT take out the beast materials? We do NT accept them. If there is a shortage of money, there are fairy shops across the street. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 257. Yunzi for sale in 256. Snob. Yekong snorted and raised his neck high. Ordinary materials? I will bring ordinary materials to your store? I'm afraid you can't eat it, don't forget it. Yekong turned his head away, and the shopkeeper still ate the set, and quickly changed into a smiley face, grabbed Yekong, and begged, the friend of the Tao is really strange, so he really judges people by the appearance. Since the friend of Tao came, he took the goods. Let us take a look. The Yi family can't eat, and there is no other family in Surabaya to eat. In this case, Yekong no longer cares about it, and went upstairs with the shopkeeper. The real master on the 2nd floor, that is, the principal, is an old man similar to Gao Yuanyang. Old man Gao Yuanhang, Dai please sit down and have tea. Gao Yuanhang was very kind, and the shopkeeper took the initiative to give Yekong water. Tao, you have any good goods, let us take a look. Gao Yuanhang laughed. It really looks like a brother. Yekong also had a kind of affection for Gao Yuanhang, so he didn't say much, took out a brocade box and put it on the table, and then made tea by himself. Yekong behaved in such a way that the shopkeeper was at a loss. He looked at the brocade box with his eyes open, and reached out to open it, but did not know whether the owner agreed or disagreed. Open it, Yekong snorted. The shopkeeper couldn't wait to open the brocade box. When you see a cloud of yunzi lying quietly inside, the expression on the shopkeeper's face can be described as wonderful. From excitement, it became disappointment and anger. What is this yunzizi? 30 spirit stones are sold below. You still play with this stuff. You play with me. The treasurer now has the heart of murder. Gao Yuanhang saw Yunwuzai as a stunner, but he was old-fashioned, knowing that others would not use Yunwuzai to amuse himself, so he looked again, and his pupils shrank suddenly, and then he looked at Yekong with a different expression. The shopkeeper glared at Yekong and said angrily, Daiyu. I know that the tone just now isn't quite right, but I already apologized. Why should Dao fool me with this method? Yekong didn't say anything. While drinking tea, he looked at the shopkeeper with the eyes of an idiot. The shopkeeper was immediately angered. Just when I wanted to fight with this black face, I listened to the main director behind me and shouted, "What are you shouting? Look at it again. Don't see you as a shopkeeper. Don't do it." Really, the older, the less stable. The shopkeeper heard the scolding, quickly took the gin box and looked at it, and was suddenly shocked. He looked at Yekong in surprise, and took the gin box to the sun to watch it over and over again. After a while, the shopkeeper said embarrassedly, "Dao, you're wrong. You asked Dao to see something strange. This thing is a good thing. No matter what kind of spirit grass, in 3,000 years, it is treasure. Not to mention this. The widely used yunzi is rare and easy to sell. We accept it? Then give a price." Yekong put down the tea bowl, looked at Gao Yuanhang, the pricing power, the shopkeeper can't decide, and the shopkeeper's character is not bad. Gao Yuanhang had appropriate pricing in his mind, but he didn't say it, but smiled. "Dao friends, can you ask the origin of this thing? Yunwuzai, which is 3,500 years old, is afraid of the edge of floods. No more of this kind, and it's so fresh, I see, I just picked it soon." Yekong Kong was shocked. He was a fairy. The old guy had so poisonous eyes. He knew that he would put some sand on Yunwuzai. "Why? Is it fresh? Or is your Yi family firm greedy?" Yekong asked coldly. Gao Yuanhang knew that he had misunderstood, and he waved his hands. "Rest assured, our Yujia firm does not engage in a black shop set. The old man means, if you have friends, you might as well sell it to this account, and this account will give you a good price." Although the old man said it seemed real, but Yekong couldn't let himself go. He was expressionless and displeased. "I'll talk about it in the future. Let's talk about the goods. You can give me a price for this Yunwuzai strain. I'll give it to you if it suits me. I won't go to King Minggu's shop." Yekong did not say whether he was still there, but he did not refuse. Gao Yuanhang thought, would rather have it, give it a high price, do not believe he will not come next time. 6,000 spirit stones, Taoist, are you satisfied with the price? He immortal, satisfied, too satisfied, Lao Tzu's charms to earn spiritual stones, how many pieces must be made? In a blink of an eye there are 6,000 spirit stones. There are still 2 strains in Lao Tzu's bag for 3,000 years, and 1 strain lasts 10,000 years. Okay, just do it at the price of the main agent. Yekong knew that the other party had already offered a very high price, and he didn't ask for more, and agreed immediately. However, Yekong did not take all the 6,000 spirit stones. He also purchased several other types of spirit grass, but there were several that did not even have the Yi family firm. Yekong left the deposit next time. In fact, this was the material he was going to buy for Dao's high-grade spirit beast den. The terrible people saw that he added a few flavors to it. The addition is exactly what Yi Rongdan needs. You can buy it if you want to reduce it. Don't let others see that you are refining a high-end spirit beast. Then, Yekong spent hundreds of spirit stones and bought a brass kill before leaving the Yi family. As soon as Yekong went out, Gao Yuanhang figured out Zongpan's spirit beast Neden, which can't be seen as a problem. Many elixir instruments need the demon. However, it is strange that the wormwood is about 1,000 years old. This substance is poisonous. The elixir that people eat will never put this flavor of grass. Could it be the spirit beast? Thousands of year-old snail grass, the spirit beast dan that is made will not be low, but strangely, phantom grass is still needed behind it. Is this what Danfang needs? When Gao Yuanhang couldn't figure it out, he listened to the shopkeeper and said, "Master Gao, I really don't see that this little monk has this treasure, but, It seems that he may still have it. Would you like me to follow it? Where did it come from? Fool, Gao Yuanhang reprimanded, these treasure-selling people are most taboo of others touching him. Can a good monk have this thing? Can it be a good thing? It must be something stolen from the ancestral gate. You know what's right, what good are we doing? It's better to pretend not to know and wait for him to steal it next time, haha. Ye Kong heard that he must vomit blood. Damn, does I look like a thief? The shopkeeper followed Gao Yuanhang for a while and said, the 3,000-year-old Yunwuzai waited until the auction debut. I'm afraid we can make unexpectedly high prices, and we make a lot of money. Gao Yuanhang shook his head, no selling at this moment, put it in the warehouse, wait for Yujia Fiashu to arrive at the end of the month, and bring it back to the Yujia headquarters. The shopkeeper said depressed, Master, why is this? Why doesn't this seeing spirit stone make money? You know what a fart. This is the decision above. Okay, since he said the above decision, the shopkeeper had nothing to say, but he still muttered, it's really strange above, the replenishment is getting less and less recently, but the goods are getting more and more. I don't know, what are you waiting for? To the reader. Thank you all for your enthusiasm. I have written down the names in the comments. Do NT worry about those who can't be on for the time being. There are always suitable roles. The book is expected to have 3 million words. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 258. 257 Refiner Black Shop. Ye Kong and Hua Shiba had already walked on the roadside at this moment. Boss Hua, these are 5 spirit stones. Let's take it as a guide fee. Ye Kong generously took out a few colorful stones. A lot more, there are only 2 or 3 spirit stones. Hua Shiba laughed so hard that he couldn't shut up. Generally, he wanted 2 spirit stones from others, and they still had to pay a price. He also did 1 spirit stone. But this black-faced monk even took out 5 yuan. I don't know what valuable baby he sold to Yi's house just now. Hua Shiba couldn't help thinking. Ye Kong is a man of generosity, but he is definitely not stupid, even shrewd. Hua Shiba had a little idea, and he saw the signs. Mr. Hua, I gave you more because you saw that I had no money, and I was still willing to help for free. I have a temper, that is, good people report good, evil people report good. If anyone treats me well, I will double him. If anyone wants to hurt me, I will make him 1,000 times more painful than me. Hua Shiba was as if he was drunk, and quickly put away the thoughts that shouldn't be there, and said, the lessons of the predecessors are that the next is just a guide. I dare not want to read more and ask more. I wonder where the predecessors want to go? Ye Kong nodded and asked, Hua, I have a few instruments damaged and want to find a place to repair, but these instruments are not very willing to let many people know. Ye Kong's worry is not that these instruments will let people know that he is Ye Kong, because not many people know Mo Shijia and Jin Dun Broadsword. The key is that he only has 7 layers of gas refining. Having a top-grade defense weapon and a top-grade attack weapon will still attract attention from others. Hua Shiba nodded and said, I can't see the magic weapon. I know a place where it is absolutely safe to modify the magic weapon and change the magic weapon. Most people don't know that place, so it's hard for outsiders to find out, but... Hua Shiba frowned again. It is said that there is a bit unreasonable, and even the owner takes the treasure on the way to take the magic weapon. Of course, I just heard that, after all, I have not repaired the magic weapon there. Such a shop? That's a black shop. Take me to see it. Ye Kong didn't worry about this. He believed that the ancestors of Yuanying would not do such things. Put it in your eyes. Senior, do you really want to go? I don't think so. In fact, Surabaya City's Reliance branch has a good reputation. No, just go to that black shop, as long as he has good repair skills. Ye Hollow Road, Last time Lu Zhen inquired about himself in the shop of the refining equipment, this time he did not want to go again. They heard that their refining technology is very good, and they are not completely black stores. Then take the way Yekong knows that some black stores are not completely black stores, and they usually make serious voices, such as acquaintances or monks who are highly advanced, they dare not play tricks. However, when encountering people of unknown origin and those who are not too high, it is no wonder they are eating black. After a while, the two came to a place that leaned on red and green, and saw a plaque on the two wooden floors with the three characters Ling Pavilion on it. Yekong froze and asked in doubt, "This is it? How do I feel like it is the Kalo of Qinglu?" Hua Shiba laughed, "Yes, my predecessor was right. This is a greenhouse, but the firm's name is behind the building, so most people would never imagine it. Laughing in front, refining behind, this is something I haven't heard of before. Go in and see." Entering the Ling Pavilion, women of various colors gathered around immediately, but when Yekong explained his intentions, the women immediately disappeared. Hua Shiba said with a smile that men can understand, "Would the seniors try it? These women are not mortal women. These are all women who have practiced spiritual martial arts. From a certain point of view, they can also be regarded as cultivators. It is several times stronger than mortal women, and has the effect of strengthening mortal men." Yekong shook his head and smiled, "The men who really care are their quasi-cultivation identities. Those monks who are high above mortals cannot touch their fingers, but only go to these somewhat aura women. The predecessors really have a clever eye. Seeing the essence at a glance, it is really difficult to catch a horse. Okay, don't talk nonsense, take me to the refiner shop." The two walked out from the back door of the Lingnu Pavilion, led by a young monk, through a garden, and then came to an independent courtyard. "Please wait a moment, I'll call my master." The leading monk took Yekong and Hua Shiba into the room, asked the two to sit down, and walked to the back room alone. After waiting for a while, I heard the crunching wheel rolling sound behind the house. When Yekong and Hua Shiba were puzzled, I saw a stout man with 5 layers of gas in the back door. The stout man pulled the back door open, and then saw a wooden wheelchair rolling in, while the monk who had brought them in just now pushed the wheelchair behind. There was an elderly man in a wheelchair. The old man had his legs broken with his knees and was wrapped in animal skin under his knees. Don't look at the old man with a disability, but he looks very sturdy. His face is stubble, his eyes are sharp, and his arms are like bodybuilders. Before this old man has no disability, he must be a fierce macho. This is Yekong's first thought. Looking at the old man's cultivation, he found that he had already been built for the base period. It is strange that the monk's body damage can be repaired by himself. The old man repaired the base period, why can't he break his leg? Haha, the two Dayu have been waiting for a long time. The old man Zhangde is physically inconvenient and can't go out to greet him. Don't be surprised when the old man Zhangde came out, he burst into a hearty laughter, which made people feel better. "Oh, why do you see strange?" Yekong quickly stood up and hugged his fists, and laughed. "Senior Zhangde is physically inconvenient and can help to refine gas, and I am grateful for it." After a little embarrassment, Zhangde asked again, "The old man's place is hidden. How did they get them?" Hua Shiba hurriedly said, "He grew up in Surabaya city when he was a child, and I heard that Zhang Lao is here. This monk is a good friend. Although he has just arrived in Surabaya city, he also has many friends in Yunfuzong." Zhangde looked up and laughed, "Hua Daiyu, isn't this saying afraid that I have a bad heart?" Hua Shiba's thoughts were directly spoken, and his face turned red suddenly, sulking and not knowing what to say. Zhangde also said, "The two must be more concerned. Although they are revised to more than 2 in the lower part, they are already a waste person. The 2 apprentices in the next one are a 5-layer gas refinery and a 4-layer gas refinery. They add up. Neither is your opponent. Zhang said that Hua Shiba was embarrassed, and Yekong hurriedly said, Zhang Jinren, you are really hard to find here. If it weren't for Hua, I wouldn't be able to touch here. Zhang De heard a sigh, this is also no way, Zhang was chased and killed by the enemies. Fortunately, the owner of the Lingyu Pavilion was taken in, so she hid in the backyard of the Qinglu to earn some spiritual stones. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 259. 258 Disabled Monks. He said pitifully, Yekong couldn't help but sigh, his vigilance towards the old man had subsided a lot, and he had some sympathy. Next, Yekong took out the damaged golden shield broadsword. He took out a top-quality instrument, and Hua Shiba couldn't help squinting. Monks like him could hardly see such a top-quality instrument. And Zhang De was surprised that the damaged part of this top-grade weapon was very flat. It can be seen that the battle must be thrilling, and the item that damaged this top-grade weapon must be powerful and overbearing. Can this thing be repaired? Yekong asked. Yes, Zhang De nodded and said, this sword is made up of many small pieces. This is a situation that is easy to repair after all, because only a small part of it is really damaged. Remove this part and reintegrate. The shield sword can be used again, and the functional power will not be missing much, at most it is shorter than the original. Listening to Zhang Dai said, Yekong was overjoyed, and then he took out the inner nails made of ink. The inner armor of this ink stone is grey and dark, very inconspicuous. It looks like Jin Kenkan's gold shield broadsword just now, so the two disciples of Hua Shiba and Zhang De didn't look at it seriously. But Zhang De's eyes were outstanding, and he saw Machi armor, and his eyes suddenly lighted, and he hurriedly asked, little friend, this thing is made of the legendary Machi skin. Looking at Zhang De's expression, Yekong regretted taking the thing out, but since he took it out, he didn't hide it, nodded, yes, this thing is made by Mo Yanpa, I don't know if it can be repaired then. Zhang De's face returned to nature in an instant, and smiled, of course you can, but Zhang heard that the inkwell skin is extremely tough, and can easily draw the gap out of the barrier. The other party is at least the late ancestor of Dandan my destiny. Yekong shook his head and laughed half-truly, it was the last time I went deep into the famine, and I accidentally encountered a strange-looking spirit beast. With one claw, he was ripped open on the spot. The crowd laughed when they heard Yekong's humor. Everyone had a respect for Yekong's eyes. It was amazing that they dared to go deep into the famine when they thought about the 7th floor of gas refining. So, Zhang hasn't been in business for a long time. Today, I will give my friend a polite price, 2 pieces of equipment, and only receive 500 spirit stones. How about that? Zhang De was really hearty, and 500 spirit stones are very favorable. Yekong was planning to spend thousands of spirit stones. After all, both are top-quality instruments, and there are top-quality defensive instruments, both of which are not of low value. Besides, they are both overhauls, and the repair costs cannot be obtained without thousands of spirit stones. Thank you, Zhang Jinren. Yekong thinks this person is really nice, straightforward, and upright, he likes to deal with Zhi's Huang people. However, Yekong felt that he could not bully others straight, and he was a disabled person, so Yekong said again, Zhang Jinren, the 500 spirit stones are not enough. If not, you can add more. Enough is enough. As long as the old man costs a material fee, the manual fee is waived. Hey, how can Zhang Jinren do it for nothing? Oh, Xiao is also a man of temperament. If I can help the husband a little, the husband is grateful. Zhang De suddenly turned. Zhang Jinren, please make it clear. If there is anything I can do, I will never quit. In fact, Yekong was suddenly unhappy at the moment. This character clearly played a little routine. Zhang De Dao, Zhang, I want to discuss some inkjet scraps with my friend, my little friend, don't hesitate to refuse, listen to the old man. Zhang De said, Using his finger to pull on the right eyeball, he even pulled out only round eyeballs came, and once again, it was made of jade. In fact, the old man has only one eye. Although the right eye is blind, he has become the door of the old man. The enemy also got the news, so, Zhang boldly asked his friend for some ink-stained skin. Big, you can make a blindfold to cover your right eye. Zhang finished, sighed, and said, Zhang knows that this request is too much. If the friend does not have it, it is assumed that Zhang did not say it. Zhang's words were sincere, and it was just a little bigger. There are still a lot in Yekeng's storage bag. I don't think it would be kind to Zhang if he didn't agree. Zhang Genren, you don't have to worry about it. I still have some of this ink moth, but I didn't take it with me. I'll bring it to you when I come to retrieve the instrument. Okay. When Zhang De heard the joy, he raised his head, and there was an old tear bursting in his one eye. He thanked him in a hurry, and Mingtuor pushed the wooden wheelchair to the gate of the courtyard. That Zhang De is really pitiful. After leaving Ling Ling Pavilion, Hua Shiba couldn't help but sigh. Thinking about beginning to suspect that he was a black shop, he still felt a little embarrassed. It seems that the rumors outside are not necessarily true. Poor indeed. I hope this small piece of inkwell will help him. Yekong nodded. Most of his business today is over, so Hua Shiba left on his own, and then walked alone to the road to the east of Surabaya city. As everyone knows, when the two of them sympathized with each other, the one-eyed and legless Zhang De wiped away the old tears, and shot a cold light in his eyes. Chenbai's Women's Clothing Square, East 9th Street, Surabaya City. This is the busiest moment in the women's clothing factory. Although the store is not large, the business is not bad. Women who come in and out stay in it, looking for clothes suitable for them. Sitting in front of the chopping board at the back of the shop, Baijier was in a daze in front of a piece of cloth in front of her. She was also a desperate person. She wanted to marry a talented person, but she could not worry about her food and clothing. But who knows that Xianxia was frustrated, and his married couple died within a few years, leaving only Baijier and a lot of debts. Because Baijier had a dignified appearance, the man died at a young age, so he attracted the coveted of the village's large households, forcing her to act as a debtor. The big family, 7 old and 80, already had an aunt, 13 rooms, and Baijier naturally refused, so he fled to Surabaya city and opened a garment factory. Baijier's clothing technology is very good, plus people are beautiful, whatever clothes they look good, so the business is not bad. However, there are often unrestricted hooligans to fight her idea. In a hurry, she simply changed the garment factory into a women's clothing factory, only doing business for women. After more than half a year, the silver banks have paid off the debts of large rural households, and finally they are on track. The thing that bothers her now is her only son, Huang Baixuan. Huang Baixuan was clever and healthy. But it's not working. I am too young to be aggressive. If so, it doesn't matter, but when the boy came to Surabaya city, he stayed with the gangsters in the city and became worse and worse for 3 days. Both ends go home to ask for money. He's only 9 years old. If he goes on like this, when he's 19 years old, what's the matter? Baijier sighed lowly, remembering the dark-skinned monk again. She couldn't help but muttered, the immortal master lied to us. Why haven't I seen him come for more than 10 days? She was thinking, and heard someone shouting, hey, madam, don't think about spring, and ask you, how much is this belly band? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 260. 259 Surabaya Rogues. Baijier immediately regained his mind and turned to see that it was the sister Fang who often came to the store for shopping. It's Sister Fang, haha. Baijier covered her mouth with a smile, and she was very kind. Sister Fang laughed, Xiaobai, I didn't say you, Duo Jun alone, while he was only 20 years old, quickly married himself and sold clothes on this street. It is not a long-term plan, it is also save you think spring in the daytime after the Sister Fang whispered in Baiji's ear. She didn't know what to say, and Baiji's face turned red and red. They are all women, and they speak naturally with a large scale. Sister Fang, what do you say? Baiji was embarrassed to listen again, and quickly changed the topic and said, did Fang fancy this belly band? All acquaintances, let me give you a price, just charge you 3 money and silver. As soon as Sister Fang heard about 3 Xianxia, she immediately opened her eyes and smiled. At the big business in the city, such a craftsmanship, at least 1 or 2 yinzi. Sister Fang was afraid of being snatched by others, and quickly grabbed the sloppy belly in the palm of her hand, and asked, this style is just this one, haha, I don't want to be like others. But who knows, just then, a dissonant voice appeared. I saw a big hand, grabbed the belly band in the hands of Sister Fang, and said sarcastically, embroidery is o peony, and I don't know if it's fresher. Is it the same? Baiji looked up and saw a young man in a luxurious dress standing in front of him. This man looked good, but he was very thin, his face was abnormally white, as if he had been hollowed out by a woman early. Behind him were dozens of young men with large arms and round waists, all eyes flashing fiercely. As soon as this group of people appeared, the women in the shop were frightened and rushed away, afraid to stay longer, for fear of provoking the group. Lady, I'll buy it next time. Sister Fang also flashed in shock. I'm sorry, this store only sells women's clothes. Baiji was also a little scared, but this was her store, and she said with courage. Only for women's clothing? Oh, who rules that men can't buy women's clothing? The young man chuckled, wrapped his belly around his fingers, and then laughed at the teenagers behind him. It's all out of date. Go ask about it, and now the outside is embroidered on the Spring Palace, so that someone can buy it. Following the young man, all the teenagers laughed, and a few of them started to grab the women's clothes and panties, thrown them on the ground at a glance, and scolded, whatever clothes are ugly, finish still stepping on it. Seeing that these people have a tendency to smash the store, Baiji rushed to pick up the clothes he had worked hard and angrily, now our shop is closed. I invite you out. Go out. Baiji was anxious, his face flushed with irritation, and his tall were undulating, so that all the men focused on their eyes. Go out, the leading young man snorted coldly, slammed the desk, and shouted, do you think we are here to buy things? We are here to collect debts. I don't owe you debts. I don't know you at all, Baiji angered. She has repaid all the money from the big households in the village. Where is the debt? These people must be here to make trouble. The young man laughed, haha, it doesn't matter if you don't know us. Now I will introduce myself. The name is Xianxia, enthusiastic readers and guest appearances, and he is the defender of the city. At the same time, I am also the 18th Street in Dongcheng district boss, that is to say, all 18 streets must listen to me. Hey, now you understand the power of my son. Baiji was depressed, and when did she get into these people? She had never been here before. But she did not owe taxes and did no evil. She stepped up and said, Sugongzi, I have no interest in what you said, and I don't want to know you. This is my shop. I'm closing, please. Leave, or I will report to the officer. It seems you still don't understand. Xianxia shook his forefinger in a very handsome way. City defense is my father. Do you think someone in the newspaper will take care of you? Besides, even if I have no background, you think the city Shaoshan will help you? Little lady, you are wrong. I am Xianxia standing here today, not because of bullying, but because of justice. Xianxia waved her hand and shouted, Primary 3. Show her the IOU. Baiji looked at the IOU held in her hands, and suddenly her eyes were black, and she almost fainted on the spot. I saw the IOU written in black on the white paper, Chen Baixuan owed Sujia Y the silver and 2,000, and it would be returned within 3 days, otherwise, Chen Bai's women's clothing workshop would be returned. Under his son's handprints. See? Didn't you say that we were arrogant and bullied? Chen Baishi, did you pay the shop or pay the money? Sujia Y ordered his staff to put away the IOU, and walked in front of Baiji and asked coldly. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of her eyes, Sujia Y's heart was refreshed, right? Then obediently follow me, Master Su, to say that this woman is so handsome, her pink face, bulging breasts, not only the charm of the little lady, but also some girls ashamed, when she will be taken down, be sure to enjoy yourself. Master Su, my child is only 9 years old. How can I owe you so much silver? Baiji was also intelligent, and immediately saw the flaws in it. Sujia Y laughed, he lost it to me through gambling. He is willing to lose. He will have to pay back even if he loses. Even if you tell the government, you still have to pay back the money. If you can't afford it, the government will sentence your mother and son to my house. For slaves. Sujia Y said, using her fingers to grab Baiji Yuan's smooth chin, and said fascinatedly, at this time, the fine-skinned and tender meat will have to clean the toilet for me. After Sujia Y said, many laughed and followed haha. Baiji's heart was miserable. Before, only his son was fooling around, but he didn't want to cause himself a big trouble this day. He wanted Chen Qiu to be seriously ill, but he owed 220 silver, but this lost to others. 1002. Anyway, you can't ignore it, right? Baiji bit her lip and said, Master Su, I will give you back the silver slowly, but please don't embarrass my family Xianxia. Return slowly. Are you a master? Am I a debt collector who asks you for a little money every day? Sujia Y locked her eyes on the pair of bulging peaks in Baiji's clothes, and said itchingly, little lady, you better after mastering this master, I have nothing to worry about. I owe all my gambling debts, and I won't be embarrassed. By then, I will be his stepfather. By then, he will be the little bully on Dongju Street. I don't know how happy it is, ha ha ha. To the reader. Thank you friends for helping me. I have written down the guest names, and I have to come one by one. And that hot pot friend, oh, this name, depends on the chance. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 261. 260 Teaching Disciples. There is a small alley diagonally opposite the women's clothing factory. There is a small child standing beside the wall of the alley. He is stretching out a half of his head and peering into the other side. Xianxia, suddenly a hand was stretched out from behind, patted on the child's back. Xianxia was startled, and hurriedly looked back, and saw a black-faced boy standing behind him. Although his face was mild, his eyes were as sharp as electricity. Master, Xianxia's face suddenly showed a surprise expression. It was 10 days old. He thought that the immortal teacher had lied to him, but he didn't expect people to come. However, the timing is a little bit unfortunate. It doesn't come early or late. Master, I thought you would stop here. Master, go here, and take you home and talk, Xianxia said, pulling up Yekong's hand and actually taking Yekong in the opposite direction. This kid is really not human. Yekong didn't want to think of this 8 or 9-year-old child so badly, but now it looks so bad. Xianxia, look at the 2 dogs over there. The old dog is injured, and the puppy knows how to lick it, Yekong said lightly. Xianxia was also very clever. With his eyes turning, he knelt down and cried, Master! Come and save my mother. There are bad people in my mother's shop. Then why didn't you just say? Yekong snorted, smiled, and said nothing, pulling Chen Baixuan to the women's clothing factory. Baijier has been forced to desperately at this moment. Seeing that the day is getting better, who knows what happened again. Xianxia, you killed your mother, Baijier wept aloud, and her heart was dead. On the other hand, Xianxia is proud of it, little lady, can't hold it, then you should start with less. It's best to get one in this women's clothing workshop, all around women's clothes, isn't it? Have you ever felt it? Being proud of him, he saw a dark-skinned boy coming across, pulling Chen Baixuan over. Baijier saw her son for the first time, rushed to hug her son, and asked, crying, Xianxia, they are not what you are. In the end, Chen Baixuan was just a child and cried with wow. Then he turned back and pointed at Xianxia, yelling, Xianxia, dare you treat my mother like this, I'll fight with you. Xianxia heard the anger and scolded, damn, Xianxia, what do you mean? Seeing things have become, what kind of energy do you mix? Don't you want to be a bully on Dongju Street? Hey, I have a master of the immortal, and I will be an immortal in the future. Do I want you to cover me? Surnamed Su, you can go now, I don't want any bully. Xianxia was furious. He didn't expect to be tricked by this child. He came here by himself, and now he will be kicked away by him. He, when Laozi belongs to a donkey, why not leave? Tell you, Chen Baixuan, master, I'm going to get better. You regret it's too late, Xianxia took out the IOU and proudly raised it. But as soon as he took out the IOU, he saw a dark flash in front of him. There was no time to respond, and the IOU fell into the hands of the dark-faced boy. Yekong pinched at wool, and the IOU has become a pile of powder, he said lightly, this IOU, everyone knows what's going on, just don't show it up, well, now you can go, if you come again here, this monk will definitely impress you. When he heard it, he was a monk, and the eyes of the crowd were terrified. The state of Wushu has an old saying that people do not fight with officials, and officials do not fight with immortals. There are immortal teachers to help out, and there are only a few people who are slightly psychic in their own side, not at all a heavyweight. Don't leave. Yekong's face sank, and his stern eyes swept across the crowd, and that gaze had scared them into urinating. Walk around, leave right away, leave now. Xianxia was frightened and led the younger brothers out of the shop. Get out of here. I cross your family's females. Useless things, Yekong walked slowly, one by one. Xianxia asked, Master, what is a fork? Yeah means greeting. Then after Xianxia went out, his anger rose. Hello you Xianxia, it is obviously that you want to be a little bully on East 9th Street. Then the idea came up, let me be your stepfather. But who knows that you have found a cultivator, didn't you play me on purpose? The more Xianxia wanted to become more suffocated, he stopped and shouted at the shop, Chen Baixuan. You wait, the city defense reserve will not be polite to you. But when he had just finished speaking, the voice of the dark-faced boy came out, and the voice was not so loud that it buzzed in everyone's ears. This time Xianxia is also wrong, this repair will not care about it. If you come again, you are welcome. Xianxia took the crowd away, but Chen Baixuan kept banging in his heart. The master already knew the role he played in this matter. Would the master punish himself? Wouldn't you teach yourself magic? Yekong is astute, but how could Baijier know that these things were collusion between his son and outsiders? She couldn't help but learn a few words, Xianxia. How can you learn gambling at a young age? If you lost so much money, if not your master for mother. Baijier felt a bitter in her heart, and wiped her tears with her handkerchief. Seeing his mother like this, Chen Baixuan knew that the master would definitely punish himself, and bowed his head timidly and poorly, and did not dare to look up. But what surprised him was that the master didn't say anything, there was no lesson, he just asked, how can there be a quiet, undisturbed room. "Oh, Master Li, please." Baiji wiped her tears, closed the shop, and walked into the opposite alley. Not too far away, it was a small courtyard house. "Li Xianxia, this is the house rented by my two wives. The family is humble, don't be surprised," Baiji said. His face felt slightly hot. Ye Kong laughed. "Anyway, the monks do not have high requirements for these living conditions. As long as the monks have sufficient aura, even in the wild mountains, they are also blessings." "What about Reiki here?" Chen Baixuan asked quickly. "Although it is not as good as Yun Fuzong, it is still okay, and it is several times stronger than the place where I just practiced." When the three entered the courtyard, Baiji was busy greeting Ye Kong to sit and rest, and even planned to buy some drinks for the ceremony. However, Ye Kong didn't want to delay, all quit, and took Chen Baixuan directly into his hut. Afterwards, Ye Kong took out a matrix and set up a spiritual practice in his house. It was definitely not convenient to bring Chen Baixuan up the mountain, so Ye Kong asked him to practice at home. Looking at Ye Kong's behavior, Chen Baixuan is curious and nervous. Who in this world does not want to be a fairy, and how many people may be on the journey to fairy? "Well, this is the place for your cultivation." Ye Kong took out a spiritual stone and taught Chen Baixuan to use spiritual cultivation to sit in battle. "With this sitting array, even if there are thousands of troops, you will not be afraid." Chen Baixuan was still a child, holding the spirit stone to open and close the formation method.